that there's always a backstory. There's always humanness. There's always goodness. No matter how much evil is surrounding someone, there's always goodness there. And we are people who are called to see the Christ in the other and to trust more and to fear less. Now, part of the reason I'm talking about this commandment this morning is that I think it's a particularly important one right now as we think about the conversations that are going on in our country, especially with the 9/11 anniversary being yesterday, the Quran burning threat that we're grateful didn't happen, the plans for the mosque to be built and all the debates that surrounded that, the debate on immigration, the Restoring Honor rally that happened, trying to call us back to a focus on God and essentially Christian values. What's important for us to be aware of in this conversation is that this command in Hebrews isn't just an isolated verse. This is a value that is central to the whole of Scriptures. It starts at the very beginning, right after the Exodus story. God delivers the people of Israel from Egypt, and as soon as God gets them out of there, God says to them, okay, here's what you're going to do. You were an alien in Egypt, an alien there, and they didn't treat you well. That didn't go well. That's why I had to get you out of there. So what you're going to do, when you go to the promised land, you're going to treat strangers with compassion. You're going to show hospitality toward the alien in your land. I want the world to heal, and this is how healing happens. So this is what you need to do. And God says this over and over and over to the people throughout the Old Testament. And when we get to the New Testament, God's encouraging the Christian community to show hospitality to strangers, to the dangerous ones around them. So if we bring Christianity into the public square, which I think we should, we just need to know that this value of showing care towards the alien in the land comes with it. And if it's missing in conversation about what Christian values are, then something's wrong. That's something we need to be aware of. The final piece for this morning has to do with money. Dealing with money. And the writer says this: keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have. Well, that's easy enough. Nobody will have any problems with that. This is hard, too. Easier said than done. And I'm very aware of that. This is a very money-focused time. We're very concerned about dollars and cents right now, with good reason. Okay? More people are out of work now than any time in my lifetime, than any time in most of our lifetimes. Many other people are afraid that they're going to lose work, too. We have reason to be focused on dollars and cents. I heard this conversation on the radio where they were talking about the economy. They had this expert in, and the expert was talking about ways that you can increase consumer spending and get people to spend more money so that the economy can start humming again. And this caller called in and asked a question. So, what if what's happening is that middle-class America has decided that they don't really need the stuff that they used to buy? And they're just not going to buy stuff in the same way going forward. What happens if that's what economic recovery looks like? What does it look like then? And the expert didn't really have a whole lot to say to that. But I thought it was a fascinating question. St. John Chrysostom of the 4th century said that there are two ways to be rich. One is to have much, one is to want little. And perhaps that's helpful counsel for us right now. Another article I was reading by a guy named Claudio Oliver spins out this scenario where he says, okay, I'm living in the United States. What happens if I lose my job and it causes me to lose my house and then I can't put food on the table? What would I do? And he says, well, what I would do, which is what most of us would do, I think, he says, is I would talk to my friends. I know I have friends who would help me out in a pinch, who would take me in until I could get myself back on my feet. I know I have relationships like that. He said, which makes me think that true poverty isn't lack of stuff. True poverty is lack of friends, which I thought was a really powerful statement. Now, that doesn't work in a place like flood-ravaged Pakistan where your friends don't have what it takes to meet basic needs either, but it does work in our setting in the United States, I think. And if that's true, that true poverty is a lack of friends, then the opposite is true as well. That true wealth is found in relationship. That our riches are truly in relationship. What we find, what we know has value is in our relationships with one another, wherever our relationships are. And that's where we should be investing our time, our attention, our care in our relationships with one another in community. These three commands create a very beautiful picture of a different sort of community, a different sort of way, of a people who's resisting with some part of their being the call of the culture just to consume, to find a way toward happiness. That we've heard another story, that our happiness, our wealth is really found in relationship with one another. And we're a people who are focused on the shared work that love is, who are focused on mutual love, and also trying to take that out towards others in the world that we don't know. We're people trying with a little bit more and more of our being to trust more and fear less. If we're called to start over as people and as a community, then it seems to me this is a good place to start. May God bless us on our journey. Amen.